So, dear friends, today first I will invite all of us to sit, relax, and with ease, and we can listen to 3 sounds of the bell. The sister invite the bell is Sister Jang Núi Nè, and the person who handles technological is Sister Đăng Nghiem, Phương Nam, and Sister Thoai Nghiem. Nowadays, we doing everything's online, so the sister have to learn how to do the technical aspect. Even if we're a bit slow, please understand. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. In, out. So dear Thai, dear friends, dear brothers and sisters, aunties, uncles, younger friends, today is July 1st, 2020, and we are in the full moon meditation hall of the New Hamlet. It has been 6 months. 2020 has gone past so quickly. When I came back to France to do paperwork, and I think that I would be here for a few weeks, but it has been a few months and half a year passed, and the days that I would come back to Vietnam seem so far away. So wherever I am, I stay there with stillness. So when the organizing sister want to ask me, what would you like to talk about? Then I think I want to share about the idea of if I want stillness, I can have stillness. Because dear friends, stillness is a kind of mental formations that is very easy to talk about, but it's very hard to practice with. We look at the 16 breaths exercise. We heard that breathing in, I calm my mental formations, but there's so many kinds of mental formations. Some of them can cause us to feel very insecure. The U.S. society currently, there's a lot of agitations because of the social distancing, and afraid that we would get infected by COVID virus, of fear of death, of getting sick, or of feelings that we have to stay home, and create all these situations that we are not used to before. So it's hard for us to receive these kind of situations, and when we can't receive these situations, it creates these psychological reactions in us, and if we don't know how to practice, then we can create all these situations that's not very wholesome, such as family violence has increased because we don't have a place to go outside or to change our pegs, and we become more agitated and angry. So all these mental formations of doubt, of resentment, of hatred and anger, or feeling just agitated, and all of them combined together And if we do not know how to take care of them, then they would find a way to go out of our consciousness. So one of the exit, it will manifest as family violence. So in COVID, you can see that everything has all these causes. There's this, that's why there's that. So all these injustice, all these feelings of resentment, they have been there for many generations in our bloods, in our flesh, in our minds for so long. And when it's the right environment, they manifest, and they become these violence protests. So it's not just a peaceful protest anymore. Even if we don't want to interact with these things, but we have to accept that they happen. Because of pandemic, everything has to close down, and the violence, it feels closer, as if even if we wear a mask and we avoid contact with people, but all of these, they enters us through our eyesight, through looking at news and through feeling the insecurity in other people. Dear friends, when I first become a novice, I remember in the lower hamlet that has a gatha with a very beautiful handwriting. The sign, it says Dĩ An, Đắc An. So it was translated as Muốn an được an. If I want stillness, there will be stillness. I really love this sentence because as a novice, my mind is very less restless and runs around circles. And I feel like I was on these waves. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. And some days I don't know how to handle my feelings. So peace and stillness are things that I want and I think about, and I want to have them. And I remember when I was young, my health wasn't so good. So today I have headaches, tomorrow's a stomach ache, and next and a toothache. So it's this or that. It's small illnesses, but it happens every day. So now it's been like 50 something years. And I still remember those feelings that one day my head was hurting so much. Then I hold my head and said, oh, I'd rather have a stomach ache, it's better. And then I thought, if I have stomach ache, I also suffer. So, and I would say, oh, I would rather have my foot hurt. And then I keep saying that I would rather have this or that, because I never accepted that I was like this right now. So I keep comparing and I keep expecting. So even me myself, I remember catch me doing these thinking like, oh, what if there's no COVID? I would rather have it like this. How can I have it in that way? Like, what if it's not? So if we have a close friends and we regret that if this person is gone, and we regret that when this person was here with me, why did I not act more harmoniously and sweetly with this person, so that when the other person leave, I won't regret. And I only think of this when this person's already left. But when the person's with me, then I would just feel about like how, oh, there are things I should talk to this person about. I should not tolerate this forever. So why is it that when our loved one is still around us, why don't we pay attention and to take care of them and to grow our love for them larger when they're still here? We talk about impermanence, but we don't live with impermanence. We talk about COVID, but we don't live with COVID. We said that we are locked down and we could not go outside. And we feel like, oh, this is just something elsewhere, even though we are afraid. Or when we hear the news that this brother or this sister has COVID and is in the hospital, then we said, I feel more affected that the virus is closer to me, even though that brother or sister is in Texas. Because we have this close relationship with that brother or sister. So the pain that that brother sister is receiving, it becomes my pain. So the fear about the virus in that sister's family, it becomes my own fear as well. So I feel like the virus is very close to me. Then I think more like, oh, I should be a bit more careful. Even though I follow all the procedures that suggested, such as wearing mask or having less contact, having more social distancing, and feel like, oh, that is a bit further away, because each day I have so much happiness and peace, but it seems so far away. So it's the same. It seems like things are happening, it seems like they're not related to me until it directly touch me in one way or another. So when I am like this, how can I be still? The issue here is, do I want to be still, or do I still want to be in contact with the news so I can know? Oh, I can't just be living under a rock. But once I'm in contact more, then I start to feel fear. Don't think that these words are nothing. They don't bring anything. They do bring you a kind of energy. And this energy, it can be negative. And it can cause us to lose our stillness. One time, I was given the task by Thai to organize the Great Ordination ceremony. It was so close to the ceremony. It's only 1 week away from the beginning dates, and all the venerables that we invited from Vietnam had not come. They haven't answered because they have to wait to the last minute to know if they were able to be there. So I was like so full with my task, and I could not follow the practice schedule. I was just waiting next to the fax machines and the telephones and the computer, and I create invitations and wait for the invitations. And then one day, I feel that I'm very empty. I feel so strange, and I became that it's so easy for me to cry, to feel easily touched by emotions. But so luckily I was already a sister, and Thai has already gave us so many Dharma talks on how to handle my strong emotions. So the first thing I did was to sit still and follow my breath. I follow my breath until I feel that my agitated mind has calmed down. Then I start looking deeply why I have these mental states. So that's when there was a sunlight that a dapple of sunlight. It gets through my curtain, and it pointed at my landed on my table. And when I saw that shaft of sunlight, and it touched me, and I realized that this whole week I have not gone on walking meditations with the Sangha. And I look at outside, it's like blue sky, and it's like full of sunlight, and I want to go, but I told myself, no, I need to finish this task before I go. So all of this, it caused me to have a feeling of suppressions, because I did not do walking meditations and not give myself a chance to rest and be nourished by the energy of the community. So I became very easily affected by emotions and feel easily hurt. So when I look deeply into this, then I let go of everything, and I went outside. I just need to walk in mindfulness, walk with a peaceful breath and without thinking about anything. Only half an hour. I came back and I can nourish myself and I can continue my work. So these are very real experience for me to show myself that it's because I did not want stillness. If I want stillness, then the practice is already there. The issue here is whether I practice or not. So before this sharing happens, my sister let me show me all the names of the people who are in the waiting room for the Zoom room. So I felt as if I feel like it's warmed my heart, because I recognize many familiar names on the Zoom screen. I felt like I'm giving a Dhamma talk to all these friends that I know, just sharing from my heart, and all these friends already knows how to practice, so I don't need to say too much. But the sister said there are also a few new friends. So if there are new friends, then I would like to take a few minutes just to re-emphasize on this practice. And if you already know, you can just sit and also practice together happily with us. So in the Full Awareness of Breathing Sutra, there are breaths to help us calm our mental formation. First, we need to calm our body first. When our body is all over the place, when the body has to be in an agitated state a lot, then our mind is also hard for us to be still. It's hard, but it's not impossible. So if you're a new practitioner, you can see that it would be difficult for the mind to calm down. So the first thing is to calm our body, to sit down or to stop, to pause. Or if you're talking, then you pause. And you have a feelings that you recognize. If you continue to talk, then what you're talking, you are being led by that emotion, by that thought. So at that time, you calm your body down. Then the mind will also calm down as well. So the most basic practice here is the breath. Breathing in, this is an in-breath. Breathing out, this is an out-breath. So when we breathe in, I'm aware what kind of mental formations are arising. Breathing in, I am angry, or breathing in, I am confused, or breathing in, I am afraid, or breathing in, I feel very undecided. So any of these mental states that are not very nourishing for us and that they're happening within our mind, then we should recognize. And when we're aware what they are, then we can start to hold them. Breathing out, I know this is just a mental formations. We have so many kinds of mental formations. Some are negative and some are very positive, such as the mental states of happiness or joy. These mental conditions that can bring us a lot of joy and peace and stillness. And mindfulness is also a mental formation. So when we're able to recognize what mental formation this is, then our mind is already more still. There's this one time, I'm talking about something that happened back in the US a long time ago. I was at Deer Park when we first had Deer Park Monastery. So there was this little hill, the Yungsung Hill. So it's a dirt path to go up the hill. So if we drive up, then it's the dirt will come up. So in Deer Park Monastery, we have a lot of rattlesnakes. And I hear the rattles of the rattlesnakes. I heard the sounds, but I never met one directly. But that day, now I'm telling you, I'm not afraid anymore. But in that day, I was very afraid. When I was driving a truck back then, driving from the bottom of the hill to the top. And because the road was very dusty, so I pulled up the windows to avoid the dust. So the truck was a manual vehicle. So when I first came up to around the corner to the hill, then there was a giant snake that was crossing the road. It was crawling, it was slithering so slow, as if it was enjoying the sunlight, and it was so big. So my first reaction was to stop the car And when because it's a manual car, so when I brake, then the engines turn off, and the wheels swirl around on the on the on the road, so the dust was flying up everywhere. So my reaction was instinct, but what happened next is my fear, because when I look to my left, I saw the head of that snake. It's just right outside of my window, and it's looking at me. So everything happened so suddenly and so quickly. And at that time, I look over, and first thing is I look was directly at the mouth of the gaping mouth of this rattlesnake, and his tongue was like twirling around, and his eyes were looking at me, and I was so afraid. And people I hear are saying, they say like, don't look into the eyes of the snake, it would hypnotize you. What if the snake told me to like open the doors and go outside? Then I'd be so afraid. So I was like, so happy my windows is already up. So I turned over and I closed my eyes. I did not dare to look at the snake, and automatically I came back to my breath. Breathing in, I know I'm very afraid. Breathing out, I'm cradling my fear. So I just close my eye and breathing in and out until I feel that mental formations of fear has gone away. And that's when I open my eyes, and the snake has already retracted its head and was going away, and it was going away very slowly because it knew that it was the owner of that land, not me. So that was one of my experience where I was so directly next to this very sudden fear. So I'm telling you this so that to let you know that all these fear, it can happen anytime. We said life is impermanence, but we don't live with impermanence. So when impermanence happen, then we feel a bit caught. When I was a lay person, I often came to the temple, and in the autumn there's a huge tree, and every day it sheds its leaves. So I often see the abbot at the temple often will sweep the temple ground. And of course, as a lay person, I ran over and I say, as my responsibility as a lay person, I said, please let me sweep. And the abbot say, oh, it's okay, and he's just smiling at me and thinking that, oh, I would just probably run away after I sweep 3 times. So I was young, and I told him, it's like, why don't you just wait until the leaves just fall all down and you sweep away? And it's such a huge tree, like you don't know when all the leaves will fall off. And the abbot said, the leaves falling down, that's its own, that is issue, that's its own thing. And this the temple ground, the sweeping is my job. He was not a Zen master, but that makes me sing. It's like, oh, whether the leaves fall or not, that's its issue. I cannot intervene to what the leaves are doing, but I can only have sovereign over the task that I am doing. So most recently, it's like this. I got the broom to sweep the courtyard here, and that old memory came back. So now, but now I have a practice. So I was sweeping the leaves of the linden tree, and some leaves are yellow and some were green. So when I was sweeping, and I have this thought arising, whether the leaves die or get born, that's the thing. That's the thing of the task of the leaves. So then, sweeping is my own task. But then later I reflect whether it's the birth of the death of the leaves is not just its own issue, but it's also my own issue too, because my own body is also changing too. with the birth and death in my own body. Because recently I've been going to the doctors and I complained to him that, oh, before I did not have this illness before. I just want to tell him that this is something chronic at all. It's just something that is just happened recently. And the doctor, he lives a lot with impermanence. So he was like, dear sister, he's a good friends of mine. He said, how old are you, dear sister? You keep remembering how you were when you were young. Like, I'm sure you were, when you were young, you don't have this illness, but of course now you're older, you would have this. So then I was a bit embarrassed and realized that each day everything is different. Even my health is different. So why do I want that everything else has to be permanent? So with the body becoming ill, I cannot avoid, or things that happens that outside of our expectation to our body, we cannot help it. We cannot avoid it. Even if we try to some part, to diet, to eat healthy, to exercise, but it's we don't have any true control. The body and minds are one. The more I practice, I see that the mind's easier to practice with, because the mind, we can take care of it easier, but the body is something that will keep aging and keep changing. So once we able to take care of our mind, we can really be still and at peace. Our teacher was ill, but he was still very at peace and at ease. I am not sick, but I still have a lot of my mind still running around. It's very easily distracted by many things. So like back then, I was like, oh, if I wish I don't have this headaches, I would rather have a stomach ache. So, but all the pains, all the suffering is the pain, yeah. So sometimes we close one doors, it will open another door, and sometimes the other door can be more meaningful. I know that in our Sangha, there's so many people full of wisdom that are very at ease and content with the life and do not want to need anything else. But some of us, we don't. So I remember there was a sister, I said, oh, you should let this go. This is before I was become a sister. But this friend said, oh, it's because I haven't had it yet. That's why I could not let it go. Because you have it already, so you can let it go. But I cannot. But it's kind of like, if I want to have happiness or peace, we need to have something first in order to let go of it, in order to have that peace and happiness. So I want to invite everyone to look deeply into our heart. What are we waiting for? What are we afraid of? What are the things that we do not want to confront? Let's confront it. Breathing in a deep breath and breathing out a very long, peaceful breath, and look deeply into the issue, and to say that if I can let go of this, then peace will be there, and stillness will be there, and happiness will be there. For example, let's look at the situation of there's agitation all around us, even if we don't want to hear or listen to it or to see it. But what can we do? The most we can do is use our vote to vote someone that we think that could change the situation. But these are just our own wishes. But the only wish that we have, that we can carry out, is that we wish ourselves to have something, and we wish ourselves to do something, so in order to have that. Let's please listen to the sounds of the bell and breathe. And while we're breathing, let's not think about anything and let my questions sink deeply into your heart, and you can find an answer to that questions later. Today I live at New Hamlet, and next to New Hamlet there is a orchard for a plum orchard, and this year they have not pruned the branches yet, so the plums, there was too many fruits and it was too heavy on the branch, and it breaks the branch. And because I was free, so every day I came out and I pruned away all the broken branches so that the tree do not have to waste energy on these injured branches, and can use that energy to toward the fruits on the healthy branches. So we are like this. There are things that we carry too much that burden us, then become these very heavy burdens, very luggage. And they're the same thing as the plums. Even though these plums are very tasty, but they're too heavy on us. So the branches cannot accept all of that, all the plums. So let's look at ourselves. Are we doing things that are too much for us? Maybe we love to do many of the social tasks to help society and to help many people, but do I have all this enough energy? Or if I do too much, then I can feel so tired, just like those plum trees, that it would lose all these fruit-laden branches. If we look at the overall pictures, next to these broken branches, the rotten branches, we can see that there are new branches that keep coming up. After a few rainstorms, then we would have new branches coming up. When we live in nature, we learn a lot from nature. The first, we have seen that everything will still continue even if something had happened. So all this is almost like there are waves that come up and down, but everything is still there. So what am I doing? Well, we go deeper into the water, and if we're strong, then we can ride the waves of birth and death. But if we're not strong enough, then we go down deeper into the water and make ourselves strong and stable, so that we can handle everything with a clear mind and calmness. Back then, I had this thought that I presented to Thai. It was that anything, especially the river, the more that we go up the river, the water becomes clearer. When we're at the bottom, when the lower branches of the river, we see a lot of trash, because the water comes from the north, from the source coming down, and then we see that all people might wash in the water, and there's all these branches that go down the river. But if we go up to the source of the river, the water is very clear. So we are all coming from the source, from this very clear source of water. But slowly we float downstream, and we gather moss, and we gather branches and many other things along the way. And when we come all the way down, then that puddle becomes, it's muddy. And the same with our mind. So whenever you feel insecure in yourself, let's sit down and look at your original mind, your Buddha nature. It's still there. It's very clear. And this is not just me, but this is something that is in everyone. This is the energy of the universe and the energy everywhere. I like to look at the raindrops, because I know that when the raindrop falls down to the puddle, it's just one drop. But when there's so many drops falling down, I cannot distinguish between all those drops. So when I look, for example, if I just separate one drops, it's not just one drops, but it's like all the other raindrops that in the puddle that goes into that. So something happened. It's not just from one person. The earth is not just one person. The pandemic is not just one person. It does not belong to any one particular person. So whatever that we can contribute to the situation, we can contribute by our own peace and our stillness and our ease. Then when we are able to be still, then the energy that we generate, it will affect everyone else. Violence might happen everywhere because many countries are having wars, and we think those countries are far away and it's not related to me. But we still breathe in the same air, and we drink from the same source of water. How can we not be separate from each other? So what we can do is that to help ourselves and help others to have more peace and to have more love and compassion. So even if the energy we generate might be small, but it's not useless. Many raindrops becomes a puddles, and many puddles becomes a river. So whatever we generate, even though we think it's nothing, but it will affect in a positive way to help save the situations that are happening. In order to have that, we need to take care of our body well. Taking care of our body well and our mind is at peace, then at least we'll have some kind of energy that we can offer to the whole world. The other day when I came here, I let go of everything the past. So every day I just like to do gardening, to prune trees or to make cakes, and to do things that I love to do, but I don't really often have the opportunities to do them. Sometimes I like to go and to type the few words on the computer, but I'm so lazy because being in nature is so nourishing. So one day there was this patch in the garden where when the grasses are very high, and the garden coordinator have already cut a few area of that patch, but there's still some pieces of this grass left behind. And I was so surprised when I pull up these grasses. It was so easy to pull up. And do you know why it was so easy to pull up? Because the person who designed that area of the garden, they had already put down a nylon sheet below, and then they put the pebbles on top. So even if the grass seeds falls into that area and the grass grow, so in terms of just signs, you would look at, you think that, oh, these grasses are the same as other grasses elsewhere. But to pull them up, it was so easy to pull up because the roots are very short. It's just this short. So it was so fun and so easy to pull up these grasses. So I see that my mind's the same way. If I sow the seeds, the good seeds, and if I do not sow those seeds very deeply, then it's very easy to get pulled up too. But if these unwholesome seeds, or for example the grass seeds that falls down, but if we have this barrier to prevent them to go deeper, then it's very easy to pull them up as well. So what is this barrier? So when I was pulling the grass, and I see that I have a lot of initiatives in to recreate my own subconsciousness, or to create new grounds for my consciousness. That is, we have to establish our mindfulness. I think of the mindfulness as if it's that barrier. So whatever news that comes into my consciousness, it's very easy to pull it out. And the things that I want to take in deeply, I put that barrier up and let it go down deeper. So then it's selective gardening, so that it's not easy to pull up that good seeds. So pulling up the seeds, the grass, is similar to pulling up the suffering, the afflictions in my mind. So I know what I want to let in, and I know I don't want to let in, and I don't have to be afraid about it, such as something that it's something bad that just recently penetrate, or I just recently absorb. I have the ability to take them out early, so I don't let it time to really penetrate deeply and grow branches and roots, and it'd be hard to remove. So it's the same with the seeds of fear, anxiety. So I see that we have a lot of blessings and merits, and it's the same with you. All of us are born as human. Even if we wish there is some kind of very peaceful society, but we think this current society is also very good too. We're all on the same earth. There's some place we live, they live happily, and there's also many places where people are fearful. We cannot avoid, but we can limit to the maximal amount that we could. So dear friends, one of the ways that we can create more positive energy is to practice, to open our heart of compassion. When we can love ourselves, then you can love others. And we have talked about the energy of peace and joy that we can generate to help others. Then the energy of love that we generate can also help others. This world needs a lot of love, because without love, people would let all those negative energies control them very easily. We are lucky that we know about the teachings and the practice. So we need to love these people. We love that we care for them, because knowing that they don't know about the practice yet. And if we love them, then we don't blame them. Even without blaming or judging them, it already brings about a peaceful energy, not just for ourselves, but for the rest. So acceptance, to confront, to hold, and to embrace, and to build these seeds of peace and happiness within us. Then we can bring peace and happiness to ourselves and to others. So the specific practice, you have to do it. If you already know how to sit or do guided meditations, then just go back to our practice. For those who don't know about these practice yet, then you can listen to the Dhamma talks more. Just 1 hour for this Dhamma talk is too short for me to share to all the little details, because there are things that we use, the mental routes we use to act or use to think about, to change is not just from morning to night we can change, but we need the space and time enough for us to create new mental routes. So if you're a first time comer, or first time that you've been here, please go into the website and look deeply and to explore more on the website, or send Q&A and we will answer. Or if you have friends on the path and you do it together, we can generate more energy together. Or those who are OI or who have practiced for a long time, then you have many more chances to help people around you, so that the peace and joy is not something that's separate on your own. And this wish to be still, it might be yours, but to have stillness, you want to have for everyone else too. If you're able to do that, then you feel like you don't have anything to regret if one day you are not near the person you love anymore, in one way or another. And is there anybody in this whole world that is not someone that you don't love? I remember that there's a sentence in Buddhism that say, if you don't love someone, then you don't want to. So the aspiration is to help others. That means you have to love others. So even if you are mad at someone or you're blaming someone, please look at it again and let things go, and to be forgiving and to love and to care. So this morning someone was reading the sutra on the greatest blessings, and I see that if I can just practice like this, then there's already an abundance, tremendous amount of happiness. I don't need to practice or read many other sutra. So when I read a sutra this one time, then I will receive a lot. But each time I receive it, I read it, then I can see it in many other new ways too. So if you haven't heard about this, the sutra and the greatest blessings, or the happiness, then please read it. And if you can see that, oh, this is something that I could do, that I can generate happiness, so that people would love to be around me, not that people see my face and they run away. So I remember when I became a novice, Thai was my idol, and I remember seeing that, oh, kids they love to hold Thai's hands. They all run toward Thais for walking meditation, and I was thinking like, what's wrong with me? How come the kids don't come over and hold my hands? But slowly I see that kids also start to come to me to hold my hands too. So it's just a matter of time if I practice. If we have the practice, then we will see the results, whether it's quick or slow, but we will see it. So the other day, I remember the sister invite me to give a talk, and I don't know, like, oh, what should I give a talk about? Let me just organize my thoughts. But then I feel like I have this whole book and I organize everything, but I have not talked anything about it. I thought I would talk about this 16 mindful breath, how to calm the mental formation, this and that. But then I have this feeling that everyone already know about this already. I don't have to remind you too much. To remind is actually to remind myself to not to forget. And the last points I want to say is that someone wrote a note to me saying that sometimes I feel that I have this complex that why people around me are suffering, but I feel like I have a bit extra happiness and peace. And when I talk to the brother and sister, I feel so happy. And even myself, I also have a lot of happiness. Then I feel a bit bad that there's other people who are not very happy around me. So she said that, oh, my husband keep complaining every day. But I feel that, oh, if I go to the temple, I feel so happy and receive the calmness of the sisters. But if I go home, then I receive the energy from my husband. I know how to keep my peace and happiness, but I feel a bit embarrassed as if I just enjoy it for myself, but I cannot do anything to help my husband. So this Dhamma talk here is to share with that friend. If we have peace and happiness and stillness, whether we want or not, and our peace and our stillness can affect others. It's the same as you walk in the mist. One day your clothes, your jacket will be wet by the mist. So no one, if we're so happy and peaceful in ourselves, then others will absorb, we feel it. Whatever that we can share in the Dhamma. But if we can share our joy, our stillness and happiness, then we can share. It's the same as the leaves falling. So whatever, how much the other person can receive from us, that's outside of our control. But we can do the best we can. And so the issue here is, have we tried our best yet to generate our peace and our stillness and joy? Dear friends, we are people who are very lucky. We know about the teachings and we have our lives that we don't have to just on the survivor term that you have to find food for your next meals. If you're still running around to find food for your next meal, then it's very hard to concentrate in the Dhamma. So what we can share, we can give to others. It could be material items, but it could be just a smile. It could be your peace, your freedom, and your ease, and your stillness. And all of us are contributing our parts into the peace of the whole universe, the whole world. So thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope you will have the peace and the happiness and the stillness that you want. Thank you.